First, any questions or concerns?
I thought you said you opened the exam 3.
I haven't uploaded it yet. No, I haven't had a chance. Toyin, give me until this weekend. I just haven't had a chance. I need to look it over before I'm gonna upload it. Yeah, give me until Saturday. I should, or give me until Sunday, and I will have it uploaded by Sunday. Other questions about things I'm not getting done?
I have a question about can I took the chapter 16 quiz,
Yeah.
but I wanted to know, I think I got like an 80 or like an 87.5 or something on it. Can I still take that over?
Yeah, I think you have 2 attempts.
Yeah, I just didn't know if like, because the deadline passed, if I could still do that.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. Yeah,
I just want to try and get like maybe a higher grade on it.
I understand.
Thank you. I didn't know like if we could still do that because the deadline was yesterday.
Well, here, let me extend out the deadline.
I really appreciate that. That's really nice of you.
It's not a big deal, but you're welcome. This is chapter 6.
Thank you. I haven't done it too. Chapter 16 quiz. Oh,
I actually, well, are you referring to the chapter 16 quiz? Claire?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I haven't done it
It's
too.
supposed to be open until the 15th.
Oh, okay. I thought it was due yesterday. So
Are you sure you're referring to that one?
I am, because I did it last night and then took the exam 2. It was just a lot to like get done, and then I was like,
I can understand that, and I thought to myself, I'm kind of surprised I would do that because we haven't even finished that chapter. So
yeah, I did 15 and 16 quizzes, and yeah. Anyway,
you're not referring to the chapter 5? Well, that one's still open too.
No, chapter 15 will due on the 8th of this month.
Yeah, so
right.
it's not due yet.
So we can still take it
But the
over.
16 is due, was due yesterday.
No, the 16 is due on the 15th. Oh no,
Okay.
wait. It's due on the 15th.
Okay, perfect.
Because the chapter 14 quiz was due yesterday.
Yeah, I did that one. Okay, cool. I just wanted to know because I thought that it was due. I just wanted a second attempt if that was possible.
I
Okay,
understand. Perfect. Yes, it's possible.
Thank you.
Other questions?
This isn't a question, but I have to leave early, probably around 1:15. I have an appointment.
Okay. Thank
Just
you
let
for
me
letting
know.
me know.
Of course.
So what we're seeing when we talk about the semicircular canals and the saccule and the utricle, what it is there is a gelatin membrane in which these hair cells are in. They're kind of plated in a little bit. And when this membrane slips and slides, it acts on the mechanical gated channels that are linked to this membrane. And as a result, the channels open. And so when we're sensing this change in the way our head is based on the fact that this membrane is slipping and sliding one way or the other. And when it slides one way, it opens the channels. When it slides the other way, it opens another set of channels. It's kind of like fluid moving across the surface. You've got fluid on a plate, it moves one way, move it the other way, it moves the other way. Or jello moving across the plate. That's the major thing that's occurring here. Is that it's essentially just this gel moving across a surface of receptors. The semicircular canals detect rotary movements. So when things are moving like in a circle, when you're spinning, the ducts are stimulated by rotation in different planes, rotation in the 3 different planes. Each duct is filled with endolymph and opens up as a dilated sac, an ampulla next to the utricle. This is the utricle. Just like before, there's this gelatin fluid that's moving in that plane when it starts spinning this way. It's moving by this crista ampullaris, forcing it to get bent, mechanically bending it, forcing the mechanically gated channels to open. So it's all based on fluid movement. All of this balance, all of your hearing is based on fluid movement. So the hair cells and the stereocilia are bounded in this gelatinous gel membrane called the cupula. as the cupula moves, it bends over the crista ampullaris, triggering the opening of channels. Vestibular pathways involved in this sense of balance. The cerebellum integrates this information into its control of muscle tone and posture. The cranial nerve nuclei for the oculomotor nerve, the trochlear nerve, the abducens nerves produces vestibular ocular reflex, which is where you can keep your eye on a distant object while moving. We do this all the time when we drive. If you think about it, you're moving in your car, but you're keeping your eye on the lights in front of you or the street signs in front of you. It's called the vestibular ocular reflex. The reticular formation, remember this was the RAS, which allows, is involved in your being conscious, functions of consciousness versus sleep. Reticular formation is going to adjust blood circulation and breathing to postural changes. Spinal cord is going to descend through two vestibular spinal tracts and innervate muscles involved, extensor muscles that work against gravity, keeping you upright. You have to have muscles that are going to fight the pull of gravity. The thalamus is a relay station. Remember, that's the main gateway for awareness of position and motor control of head and body. Questions? What I want to do really within this next few minutes is want to watch a few links. Try to keep fairly short videos when I do
People ask me
post
every day,
videos.
what do I do to look the This picture here is a picture of a semicircular canal and its ampulla. This ampulla is depicted right here. And the ampulla, within inside the ampulla of the semicircular canals lies the most important part of this. It's what drives our detection of dynamic movement. And that would be the capula. The capula is this gelatinous mass here that encases the hair cells, which are responsible for contacting the vestibulocochlear nerve and telling us that we're undertaking some kind of dynamic movement. Now, the only way that those hair cells contact the vestibulocochlear nerve and tell you that you're undertaking some kind of dynamic movement is when the capula is actually bent from side to side. And the way that that happens is by making some kind of dynamic movement. When you make some kind of dynamic movement, there is a fluid inside of the semicircular canals that circulates through and pushes that scapula from one side to the other, depending on what kind of dynamic movement you're making. So when that happens, the scapula gets pushed to the side, and say we're pushing it to the left here. And when that happens, it contacts the vestibulocochlear nerve and says, oh, you're doing such and such dynamic.
So it's the gel is moving it, it's bumping it, and when it bumps it, it opens channels because these are mechanically gated channels. And depending on the flow is going to depend on which channels get opened in the 3 different planes of semicircular canals.
Movement. Keep in mind that there are 3 different orientations of semicircular canals, and they're on both sides of the head. So they're not just in the central portion of your skull. They're on both ears. And when you turn one way, both of the semicircular canals are contacted and they're moving. This is how you detect dynamic movement. Now let's look at how to tie in the semicircular canals with the brain, specifically the midbrain, where you find the corpora quadrigemina. The corpora quadrigemina are responsible for helping you track moving objects. So when you're undertaking some kind of dynamic movement, these semicircular canals actually contact those corpora quadrigemina and tell the eye to move in such a direction so that you can keep track of the things that are moving.
Do you remember what the corpora quadrigemina were? Those were the superior and inferior colliculi. Remember, the superior ones are involved in the eye reflexes, allowing you to look at a distant object while moving. The inferior colliculi were involved in hearing reflexes.
While you are moving, because since you're moving, it seems like everything around you is moving, but in reality, everything's staying in place. It's just you're moving. So your eyes are trying to keep track of those things that are not moving.
Some of you I know have small children. And this is that thing where you move them. You grab a child by their hands. You say, let me spin you. And you start spinning them around, round and round and round and round. And then you put them on their feet and they can't walk straight. It's always so, it's really funny. But because that, as my cat jumps on my head, because the fluid is moving. And as the fluid keeps moving, they feel like they're still moving, even though they're not. You roll down a hill and that fluid is moving and it's moving and it's moving and it's spinning and spinning and spinning. And then you stop and that fluid is still spinning. So you're trying to, everything around you seems to be spinning, even though you're not spinning, because that fluid is spinning.
Now, say you were at the top of a hill and you rolled down that hill, and at the bottom, you get down to the bottom and you try to stand up and you're super dizzy and you're falling over. So this all has to do with these semicircular canals. These semicircular canals are picking up momentum as you're going down this hill. They're spinning the fluid inside of it. And so the kinetic energy is building up inside this fluid, and it's causing the fluid to continue to circulate even when you have stopped rolling down that hill. So this fluid is continuing to circulate through, and it's pushing that scapula, and it's telling your brain that you're still moving even though you're not. So it's telling you that you're moving, it's causing you to be dizzy, and at the same time, it's contacting those eyes, and it's causing them to dart across your face. So the classic, oh, I just rolled down a hill, and then you're looking up at the the sky, and the sky's spinning around your head. It's not really spinning around your head. What is spinning around your head is your eyes, because these semicircular canals are contacting the corpora quadrigemina and telling your eyes to keep track of everything as you're moving. But you're not really moving. It's just the kinetic energy inside of the fluid in your semicircular canals is still there.
All right, you know what, because of time constraints, we're not gonna keep watching more. Let's end videos there. Do you have questions for me about chapter 15 or 16? Now, like I said before, I'm leaving you responsible for chapter 15. Watch the video links. It's not a very long chapter. And in comparison to some of the other chapters we've worked through, I don't think that it's a more difficult chapter to comprehend. So I thought if I'm gonna have to do a recording, I'd prefer to do it over this chapter. Altogether, between the two of them, they're about an hour and a half, maybe a little less. So chapter 11, talking about the muscles. So this is the last chapter. Muscle tissue. Overview of muscle. Body movement results from this alternating contraction and relaxation of muscles. The muscle system provides a leverage and a supportive network for this movement. So your muscles work on your bones and use them as levers to allow for movement. Myology is the scientific study of muscles. We have 3 different types of muscles. We have skeletal muscle that's found throughout the body and attached to the skeleton. We have cardiac muscle that's found only in the heart. We have smooth muscle that's found within the walls of the thoracic and abdominal viscera and surrounding blood vessels. Skeletal muscles attached to the skeleton. Its functions, it's involved in motion, running, walking, maintaining posture, producing heat, thermal regulation. It's what allows for shivering. Appearance, it's got multiple peripherally located nuclei. Each muscle cell can have more than 100 nuclei. And they're located on the periphery of the fiber. Here's the fiber, here's a nucleus. It's striated, got dark bands and light bands. Dark bands, light bands. It's voluntarily controlled. Also controlled subconsciously to a certain level. If you think about your reflexes, you step on a nail. One foot set of muscles relaxes while another set contracts. Abby's over here on the chair. Your diaphragm is skeletal muscle. You don't really have to think about that one to be able to breathe. Muscles for posture, muscles in your back. Cardiac muscle, found in the walls of the heart, involved in pumping blood. Parents, there's one centrally located nucleus, and it's also striated like skeletal muscle. So in skeletal muscle, the nuclei are on the periphery, and cardiac muscle, they're within the cell. One other thing that makes cardiac muscle different from skeletal muscle is it has what are called intercalated discs, specialized gap junctions that allow for movement of electrolytes and solutes between individual muscle cells. This is what allows all cardiac muscle to contract and relax at one time and do it synchronously. When I try to determine the difference between when I'm looking at a slide under a microscope, looking at a section of cardiac muscle versus skeletal muscle, the main thing that I look for that allows me to distinguish one from the other is the intercalated discs, because they're not here. Sometimes the branching helps, but the main thing that's really easy for me to spot are the intercalated discs. Cardiac muscle is involuntarily controlled. It actually displays an autorhythmicity to it. It can speed up or slow down when influenced by neurotransmitters and hormones. So it is acted upon by the autonomic nervous system, but it also inherently beats on its own. Smooth muscles found within the walls of blood vessels and hollow internal organs and structures. It's also attached to hair follicles in the skin. It's what allows you to get goosebumps. It mainly functions in peristalsis, allowing things to move in the GI tract, allowing things to move, allowing for eggs to move down fallopian tubes in the reproductive system. Don't look at me, don't look at me. She made me go out. So peristalsis is this rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the muscle in the GI tract, allowing things to be moved down the tract. Mom, you left Abby out. I'm sorry, we're doing a little bit of maintenance of animals here. I know, and I can't. Smooth muscles also involved in regulating organ volume, temporary storage of food and urine due to the control of bands of smooth muscle called sphincters. You have a smooth muscle sphincter that connects your esophagus to your stomach. When when digested food and stomach acid unintentionally move up through that sphincter of smooth muscle, the result is heartburn. That acid's moving up into your esophagus and burning your esophagus. Appearance, one centrally located nucleus, and there's no striations. It's involuntarily controlled. Not going to read through all of this. A lot of this we will cover as we go, but this is a good summary comparing and contrasting the different three muscle types. Skeletal muscle fiber development. So if you remember from what I said a few minutes ago, each skeletal muscle has 100 or more nuclei. The way that it gets that many nuclei is through the fusion of 100 or more myoblasts during skeletal muscle fiber development. So if a word ends in blast, what does that mean? Do you remember?
Isn't it building?
It's a building cell. Myo means muscle. So these are cells that are going to become muscle. So each skeletal muscle fiber is going to result from the fusion of 100 or more myoblasts. Each myoblast has its own nuclei. Therefore, a mature skeletal muscle fiber can have more than 100 nuclei. Satellite cells are unspecialized myoblasts that retain the capacity to regenerate. They're what are involved in recovery from injury of muscle. Cell division ceases once this fusion of the myoblasts occurs. The number of skeletal muscle fibers, and let me clear something up really quickly. Let's say something. A muscle fiber